All right, so today we're going to be tackling a topic that's pretty sensitive.
Yeah.
And it's this civil lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy Combs, right?
Right.
I mean, it involves some really serious accusations.
Yeah.
So our goal is to, like, really responsibly explore the facts that we've got here in these sources.
For sure.
Without,
Yeah, sensationalizing
it, right?
Exactly.
So let's try to carefully unpack this together.
Absolutely. It's important to understand all the nuances of this case,
Yeah.
the ins and outs.
So at the heart of this lawsuit is just Doe.
Right.
And she's claiming that she was drugged and assaulted
Yeah.
by both Jay-Z and Diddy.
After an MTV VMAs after party.
After an MTV VMAs after party. Way back in 2000.
Wow.
She was only 13 years old at the time.
13.
So initially, this lawsuit was aimed at Diddy.
Right.
But later on, Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, was added to the lawsuit.
Interesting.
What are your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's certainly interesting that Jay-Z was added later, right? Yeah. It makes you think, like, what new information or evidence came up,
Yeah.
And the fact that Jane Doe's lawyer,
Right.
Tony Busby, is staying totally silent publicly just adds another layer of, like, what's going on here?
It's like a whole mystery on top of a mystery.
Exactly.
And there's also these calls for criminal charges to be filed.
Yeah.
Not just the civil lawsuit, right?
Right.
People are saying that'd carry more weight.
Especially when it involves a minor.
Especially with a minor involved.
Yeah.
Could you just, like, break down the differences for us?
Sure.
Between civil and criminal?
So basically, a civil case is about resolving some kind of dispute between people or, entities, organizations.
Right.
And the burden of proof is lower in a civil case.
Yep.
It's what they call a preponderance of the evidence.
Okay.
Meaning, like, more likely than not. And usually what happens is, like, financial compensation. Now, a criminal case, that's brought by the state against someone accused of breaking the law.
Right.
The burden of proof there is way higher. It's beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
And the consequences, well, those can include imprisonment.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. So,
Yeah.
So you can see why some people feel strongly about a criminal case, especially...
Yeah, given the allegations and the fact that a minor is involved.
Right.
It's a big deal.
It really raises the stakes.
For sure.
And we should also point out that, like, the U.S. Attorney's Office hasn't said anything.
Yeah, they've been totally quiet.
About whether they're even considering a criminal investigation.
Like radio silence.
Oh.
Which, I mean, that says a lot,
It does.
It makes you wonder what's happening behind closed doors.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Jay-Z has come out and very strongly denied all these allegations, right?
Right.
He's calling this lawsuit a blackmail attempt.
Wow.
And he's even gone so far as to call Busby a fraud. And he's also spoken about how this is affecting his family, especially his kids.
Understandably.
What do you make of his response?
Well, I mean, a denial was expected, right? I mean, he's got to protect himself.
Of course.
And it makes sense that he's worried about how this is affecting his family.
Yeah.
An accusation like this can be incredibly damaging no matter what happens in the end.
Absolutely.
But what I find interesting is that he's choosing to go on the offensive, attacking Busby, the lawyer, It's a strategy. It's risky.
For sure.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's right, it could totally discredit the whole lawsuit.
Right.
But if he's wrong, it could backfire big time.
Yeah, it's a gamble.
Definitely.
So this whole case, it's bringing up a lot of really complicated emotions and reactions.
Yeah.
We've seen this kind of thing play out in the entertainment industry before.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with, the rise of the #MeToo movement.
Right.
Do you see any, like, historical parallels here?
Oh, ton. Yeah, we've seen this pattern of, powerful figures in the industry being accused of abuse, often by people in more vulnerable positions.
Yeah.
Think back to the Harvey Weinstein case.
Right.
That was a huge turning point that made so many survivors feel like they could come forward.
Yeah.
But it also showed just how deeply rooted these power dynamics are.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, why would someone go the civil lawsuit route instead of going for criminal charges?
That's a really good question. And there are a few reasons why.
Okay.
Sometimes a civil case can give the survivor a sense of, like, control.
Okay.
Especially if they feel like the criminal justice system might let them down.
Right.
It can also be less emotionally draining than a criminal trial, which can be super public and re-traumatizing.
Of course, yeah.
And, the standard of proof in civil cases is lower.
Right.
That's a factor, too.
Yeah, so we're seeing a really divided public response to this whole thing. Some people are, like, totally behind Jay-Z, seeing this as an attack on him.
Right.
And then there are others who are like, listen, we got to hold powerful people accountable.
Absolutely.
No matter who they are.
It's about justice.
It's a lot to process.
It is. This case really highlights those bigger societal issues.
Yeah.
Around power, accountability, who we choose to believe.
Yeah.
These high-profile cases, they can really force us to have those tough conversations, to look at our own biases, and figure out how we approach these complex situations.
Totally. So where do we even go from here?
Well, I think it's important to remember that this is still an ongoing legal process.
Right.
We can't jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
Got to stick to the facts, avoid speculation, and be mindful of the potential impact our words can have.
On everyone involved.
On everyone involved, exactly.
Yeah.
But bigger picture, we have to keep supporting survivors and work towards a culture where people feel safe to come forward.
Absolutely. And to anyone listening who might be struggling with any of this stuff, you are not alone.
You are not alone.
The RAIN hotline is available 24/7.
Yes, that's 1-800-656-HOPE.
1-800-656-HOPE. And their website, rain.org, is a great resource, too.
It is.
Reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness.
Absolutely not. It takes a lot of courage to speak out.
For sure. So this case really makes you think.
It does.
Like, how do you think situations like this are going to keep shaping how we view power and accountability?
Right.
Not just in Hollywood, but like in our daily lives.
It's a huge question, and it goes way beyond celebrities.
Right.
It's about how we treat each other as human beings.
Yeah.
How we hold each other accountable. How we create a society where everyone feels safe and respected.
That's a great point. It's something we should all be thinking about.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
It was great to be here.
It's heavy stuff, but it's important to have these conversations.
For sure, these conversations are crucial.
So thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.